is one of my favorite topics in the whole wide world, because if you know how to build a list, clients will pay a lot. They'll throw gobs of money at you, according to promos, but it's true. I mean, because everybody wants to know about list building. And this guy not only knows how to do it, but has done a lot of testing, so he knows really what to do in order to attract the traffic to build your list. So his formal bio: Brian Edmondson is an author, speaker, and internet entrepreneur who helps website owners get more traffic, build their email lists, and increase their sales online. After leaving his Wall Street job in 2001, Brian found true success and independence through the power of the internet. The internet.
It's powerful.
He has launched several websites, including one that grossed over $50,000 in sales in the first week. Wow. Ooh. And has masterminded many multi-million-dollar internet businesses. Brian's client list includes well-known information publishers and internet marketers like Agora Publishing, Early to Rise, and AWAI, to name a few. Brian is known for his ability to generate big profits from a small list. In one example, he generated over $15,000 in 7 days from a list of only 1,286 subscribers.
That's specificity.
So let's, maybe we should meet after this. Mm-hmm. I'd like that kind of return on my list.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. Brian is co-author of The Ultimate Success Secret with Dan Kennedy. He's the author of the AWI program, How to Build Email Lists, the fastest, easiest, and most profitable way to get more traffic, more prospects, and more sales, and now works full-time online from his home outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or anywhere where there is an internet connection. Brian Edmondson.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Wow, that sounds really impressive. I hope the presentation is as good as the bio, right? So excellent. Well, I'm really happy to be here. AWAI, as Rebecca mentioned, is one of the companies I work with, so I'm thrilled to be here with you guys today. I'm especially excited about today's presentation because the dual nature of it. So one is what I'm going to be sharing with you are things that you can do to grow your own business. So these are going to be tactics and strategies that you can use to build your list, get more traffic, and ultimately get more clients. These are things you can do for your clients. So I want to show you a lot of ways you can consult on list building. You can become kind of what I believe our last presenter, was it Nick, I think, said about the opportunity you really have that's great is you can take on the role of a consultant and then also provide the services as a copywriter. So for me, at least, that's what, for a long time, that's one of the challenges I had, is that I don't have the will or the desire to write copy. So a lot of times and you'll find this when you consult with a lot of clients, is oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I really want that. Who can do that for me? Because they don't want to do it themselves. So really the opportunity you have is, oh, well, I can do it for you. I'm also going to show you other ways that you can monetize what you're doing. Ways you can monetize as far as recommending tools and services that they'll need to implement your recommendations, ways that you can earn passive income through affiliate and joint ventures and things like that. So what we're going to do is a small schedule change. I consulted with a couple of your peers, and they really liked the idea that I offered. For the first part of the presentation, we are going to talk about list building, because that's critical. That's really the most important thing of any business, is really the list, and we'll get into that. Second part is we'll cover some traffic strategies that you can use. The caveat I want to give with the traffic strategies is I'm going to show you a lot of different ways to drive traffic. The key is not to get overwhelmed by it. The key is really to look at the opportunities of driving traffic, and I'm going to share with you what I think are the best or most leveraged ways to drive traffic. But the idea is to identify maybe a couple that you resonate with and that you say, well, that's something I could do or I could do for my clients. That's something I want to explore more. And then as time goes on, you could eventually outsource or add more to your repertoire, but definitely don't try to tackle all the traffic strategy all at once, or else you'll end up doing none of it well. Remember what Joshua Boswell said about just picking the one thing and focusing on that consistently, get results with that, and then explore new opportunities. The final piece, I'll throw this out to you guys. I think this is a really good idea. I got some feedback from your peers that like this idea. Originally, the third part of this presentation was going to be the follow-up. So really, any successful business has those three components. You have traffic, you build your list, and then you follow up and make sales. Now, I think that Ryan Dice did a really good job going through the email follow-ups. And I do have my own follow-up series, and I have the templates here, and I want to give those to you. There's a lot of, because Ryan and I are basically in the same school of thought of direct response marketing. My templates and his are very similar as far as the psychology, the follow-up, deliver on the promises. So I thought instead of being redundant, there's a specific strategy that's working really well right now that I can teach you, and this is something you can add to your copy arsenal. What I really like about this specific method is that it's fast to do. It gets results immediately, very quickly. This is something you can use to grow your own business, or it's an additional service you can offer to clients, and they'll be more than happy to pay you a lot of money to do that. So I thought for the third part of the presentation, I'll give you my templates, but rather than spending a full hour teaching something similar that you've already heard, I'll give you something completely new. Does that sound fair? Is that a good trade-off? Okay, perfect. So that said, let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to try to space this out. We're going to spend ideally about 45 minutes on the list part. Then we'll take a quick break. Then we'll spend about 40 minutes or so on the traffic part. And then for the last hour, we need a little bit more time for the last part. For the last hour, we'll focus on that unique copy strategy or writing strategy I mentioned. Okay, 3 critical drivers of an online presence. I already hinted toward really what those are, traffic, list, and follow-up. I'll share with you the truth about online marketing, the #1 financially valuable skill online, really in any business, but we're focused a lot on online today. We'll go over some of the top ways to drive traffic to your website or to consult with or help your clients drive traffic to their websites. And then we'll talk about the single, easiest, fastest, most profitable way to get instant traffic to your website and generate more sales online. That one sounds exciting. And how to at least double your sales with an automatic email marketing campaign. As I mentioned, Ryan covered that a little bit. I'll share with you my templates. But that really is the reality of it. And it does sound, I know in promos, and we already joked about this in earlier sessions, that does sound hypey. But literally implementing an effective list building program and follow program for your own business or for your client's business, you can get results like that. I mean, I think even, we understated sometimes. Oh yeah, we can increase your sales by 50%. We can double your sales. The reality is, especially in information marketing businesses that have high ticket back ends and higher price programs, you're looking at quintupling or 10xing your business simply by implementing list building and effective follow-up relationship building. One way I want to mention, the way to look at the first half of this presentation I'm giving is basically what I'm going to teach you here about the benefits of list building, why you should be doing it, and how you should be doing it. And what I want to give you permission to do is absorb that information, and now you can teach this information to your clients. So now this is basically the presentation I'm going to give you here, and what you have in the handouts is your outline for if you wanted to do a strategy session with a client, if you wanted to perhaps offer a list building consultation, or if you want to do a website review. A critical part of a website review is identifying a list building opportunity that's being missed on a client's website. So basically the conversation that we're going to have here going forward as far as the benefits of list building, why you should be doing it, how you should be doing it, this is for you also. Now you can become a list building consultant or advisor and advise your clients on this. So does that sound good? Feel free to take this information and use it in your own consulting and advisory practice. And the truth about online marketing, I'll go through these real quickly. And we know this, as copywriters, we know this a lot, especially as conversion goes, but most people don't. Most business owners have no clue about this. They don't know what a decent conversion is, and they have unrealistic expectations as far as, you might have heard this a lot. Oh, I put up a website, but it doesn't work. I did this website, but nobody comes to it. A lot of people believe that you can just put up a website and people will come to it. The misconception especially is in the bricks and mortar world, for all intents and purposes, that's pretty much true. If I open up a pizza shop in the corner, people will just come to it and I'll have a business. Now, of course, there's a huge opportunity to do better marketing and advertising and really grow that pizza business, but in the bricks and mortar world, you can really just build it and they will come. It's not true of the internet. If you build it, they're not going to come. So a lot of times, that's something frequently you'll hear. That may be true with some of our websites, right? We've built a website, but nobody comes to it. Hopefully, if that's the case, I'll help you guys with that after today. So the reality is that most people will never find a website. And if they do, they'll leave within seconds. So this is another area of opportunity. I'm going to actually do this throughout the presentation. I'm going to sprinkle in just areas that I identified I think are ways that we can monetize what we're doing. But a lot of times when I look at a client's website, the first thing I'll do is I'll give it the 3-second test. And the reality is that people have when people come to a website, in this ADD, clicking from website to website, short attention span world, a lot of times people will click the website, and before it even finishes loading, they're already bored, or they're clicking the back button. So really, in 3 seconds, they're going to make a decision. Less than 3 seconds, they're going to make a decision as far as, do I want to be in this website? Is this website credible? Is it legitimate? Is it going to solve the problem that I'm searching for? Is it going to give me the information that I want? And you already know how to address a lot of those concerns. A good attention-getting headline to draw them in. So, but that's reality. Most people will leave a website within seconds. If they stick around, they won't buy. And that's a critical part. That's the biggest missed opportunity, is most business owners, maybe even a lot of us, we put a lot of either time, energy, money, or effort into getting people to our website, marketing our business. People come there, and then they leave and they don't do anything. And then the reality is that after they leave, they'll probably never come back. They won't come back to the website. Even if they bookmark it, I probably have hundreds of bookmarked websites from years ago that I've never even went back to. So they'll never come back. And we know this as copywriters. We're lucky that initially, if we can get 1 to 2% of people to convert to sales on the front end. So that shows us that there's still potential, 90%, 98% out there. And that's the missed opportunities that most of your clients are having, is even physical store, people have foot traffic coming into their stores, they have people visiting their websites, and they're not capturing the information. This is one of my sneaky copywriting tricks. I just said what's working is constantly changing. I'm just trying to make the pain worse and really drive it right. You know what I'm doing there. And of course, at the end of the day, traffic costs time, money, energy, and effort, as I already mentioned. So as far as having an online presence, there's really 3 critical drivers of an online presence. And most people get 2 of them, if they're lucky. So, and the way I think about it is, I really think when we have this conversation about list building, and you really embrace the idea of list building for yourself and for your clients, to me, it's a mindset change as far as really going from something that's transactional into something that's more of a business, something that's sustainable. Who here is familiar with Mark Ford, also known as Michael Masterson? I'll never forget, I had the privilege of working with Early to Rise for several years while he was with them, and I got to sit in on some insider meetings. Really, I mean, the man is an absolute genius, brilliant, one of the smartest people I've ever met. So we were evaluating some copy, so we were working on a new promotion, and we had a lot of copywriters submitting ideas or specs, however they do it, and we were evaluating the copy, and we were just reviewing it. We were going around, we were using their cub or cube process, and Mark just lost it for a second. He just took the copy and just slammed it down, and it was me, it was the CEO, the other staff, and he said, the problem is that copywriters know how to write copy, but they don't know what an effing business is. Really upset. And the whole idea behind that was there's a difference between being able to write a piece of copy that's just an independent sales letter or landing page, something that's sitting out there, versus having a business that has a whole funnel, a flow, and a process from generating the lead, which we'll get into, to capturing the lead, to nurturing the lead, and et cetera. So And that's what I think the most important takeaway, I think, from this whole presentation, and that never went out of my head, what Mark said, was once you embrace and really put a focus on list building in your business, you'll really move from something that's more transactional into something that's sustainable, not just for you and your business, but hopefully for your clients as well. So traffic plus conversion is really what most people focus on. So I just want to drive traffic to my website, and then I want to make a sale. So I'm going to run an ad, and hopefully someone will buy something, and if they don't, that's it. Traffic plus conversion. To me, that's kind of like just trying to generate income. It's almost like having a job mentality. So, and those are really, in other terms, that's lead generation and lead conversion. So every business is a lead generation business. Every business has to get leads constantly into the business, and they also have to convert those leads into sales, however they do it. And we'll talk about all the different ways you can potentially generate leads, and there's lots of ways to convert them. Webinars, sales letters, all the stuff we've been talking about. Now, when we add list building to the equation, so now it's traffic plus list building plus conversion, and to me that is a more sustainable business model. And really those three factors are lead generation. So in the online world, really lead generation is the traffic that's coming to the website. Lead capture, that's really the list building. So that's, how are we going to capture that lead? And we're going to talk about that extensively here. And then lead conversion. And of course, that's the sales funnel or the follow-up. Several ways to do that as far as conversion. Getting people right to a sales letter, getting them on a webinar, a teleseminar, showing them an offer immediately after they follow up. We'll even talk about using the lead capture device, the free report or whatever it is, as the starting point for the lead conversion. And then of course there's the follow-up, which Ryan talked about, and I'll also give you some follow-up templates that constantly email people, get them back to the website, and let them see the offer, let them see new offers and multiple offers. And that's why I submit to you that the number one financially valuable online skill is the ability to generate and build lists and to be able to monetize those lists. List building allows you to capture your visitor information. So people who are actually coming to the website, we put a lot of time, money, energy, and effort into getting them to the website. So let's do something to capture their information while they're there. And we're going to talk about how to do that more extensively. But list building allows you to capture your visitors who are coming to your website, and it allows you to follow up with visitors and build a relationship. Now, really, in any business, no matter what business you're writing for or your own business, the fortune's in the follow-up. So the more follow-up you do, the more sales will be made. In some businesses, relationship building is a little more important. We actually heard about that in an earlier session where we said, it depends on the size of the sale, right? So if I'm offering something low ticket, it could just be a quick email. So a pizza chain could just send an email to their list and say, hey, it's Tuesday, and we're having 50% off of pizzas today. Come on in. They can drive a flood of people into the thing. Not a lot of, we don't need like a 10-part follow-up sequence about, why someone should come in on Tuesday and get the pizza for 50% off. As opposed to if I were selling a high-ticket event like this, I can't just send an email, oh, by the way, I'm doing this event next week and click here and get a discount. There's more relationship building. So with the follow-up, you can build a relationship, get people to know you, like you, and trust you. A lot of the email templates that I give you and Ryan give you, they do that. They have the relationship building process. You're giving content. You're not just sending pitch after pitch after pitch. And people get to know you, like you, and trust you. They know that they're not always being sold, and they're more likely to lead to a sale. And these are things, so surprisingly, I'm not sure how obvious this may seem to you, but for a lot of people, especially a lot of business owners, this whole idea is foreign to them of why would I capture someone's information, and does email marketing even work anymore? Right? Does email mark? Of course it works. Last time I checked, email is still the highest return on investment marketing activity, even in this day of social media marketing, all the other things going out there. I believe that email still, by a large margin, is the highest return on investment activity. As far as cost goes, the cost of email marketing is virtually nothing. That probably attributes to it. But even independently, as far as driving actions, actually getting people to take an action and come back to the website. So not just highest ROI as far as money, but as far as actually engagement, getting people to do something. Because the action may not always be money, right? We might want someone to do something else. Just like my post, follow me on Facebook, join this cause or whatever the case is. And of course, follow-ups lead to multiple sales. So follow-up marketing will not only increase sales of the initial product, the front-end product, but it will increase sales of any product in your entire product funnel. And here's what's really interesting as far as traffic goes, because as I mentioned, we're going to spend the second half of our presentation talking about traffic. There's lots of traffic methods out there. There's free methods, there's paid methods, there's methods that take a long time, that take a little bit of time. There's methods that get lower return on investment, methods that get higher return on investment. But of all the ways you could drive traffic to your website, your own house list, your own email list of people who know you, like you, and trust you, when you send an email to your list to get them to come look at one of your offers or to see a new offer you have for sale, of all the forms of traffic, your own house list will be the fastest traffic you'll ever get to your website. So you literally send the email and traffic starts coming in, unlike, say, something like SEO, which could take a long time to develop. It's really the easiest form of traffic. I mean, all you have to do is type an email. Even if you can't type an email, we've given you tons of templates to do that, right? So you can literally copy and paste emails. So it's the easiest. There's no learning curve as far as, say we wanted to, and we'll talk about all these methods I'm mentioning, the SEO, the pay-per-click, but there's learning curves to other methods of traffic. Like if I want to learn how to do pay-per-click marketing, there's a whole learning curve as far as learning the platform, the system, learning how bids work. There's a lot of complexity. Email's very simple. You just type an email and hit the send button. It's the easiest traffic you'll ever get. And I think most importantly, it's the most responsive traffic you'll get. So, as far as conversion goes, it's much more likely that somebody who's been on my list for a while, who knows me, likes me, and trusts me, I could probably send an email just offering something and saying, hey, I have something cool for sale, buy it now, and they would do that. Versus cold traffic, the response rates to cold traffic will be much lower. So fastest, easiest, most responsive. And that's the argument for list building. Here's one of my favorite quotes. So as I mentioned earlier, I used to do some work with Early to Rise, and Mary Ellen Tribby, how many people here know Mary Ellen Tribby? Very impressive woman and someone I greatly admire. I had the privilege of working with her when she was the CEO of Early to Rise. She worked with Forbes Publishing and then Weiss. With Early to Rise, she took Early to Rise from, I'm probably going to get this wrong, does anyone here, was it 8 million to 25 million in like 18 months? So, something like that, right? So, just really impressive growth. And Mary Ellen, she's a huge, and basically that was the whole, so the whole story of, Early to Rise was, with Agora, we all know Agora Publishing, Agora Publishing, at least traditionally, was a direct mail, send out offers, and the whole concept with Early to Rise was, can we take this Agora model and do it on the internet? And can we just get people to sign up to emails and send emails and make money? And they did a pretty good job of doing that. And so list building was a huge part of the business model. So Mary Ellen, this is one of my favorite quotes from Mary Ellen. She said, if you're not building a list, then you're not running a business, you're running a garage sale. And that goes back to that whole idea, remember the Mark Ford, Michael Masterman's comments on building a business, and what I was saying earlier with the whole, list building is it's a mindset, it's a way of doing business. And to me, that really sums it up. If you think about a garage sale, we're just putting stuff out there, hoping people drive by, and maybe they'll come and buy something. That's a garage sale. List building is, creating a whole funnel, putting offers out, driving, capturing, nurturing, and building a business. So that's why I believe list building is the #1 financially valuable skill. Now this is the what I call the internet profit funnel, which I have to admit I stole this. I just literally swiped it from Early to Rise and Agora. So this is originally the Agora model. This is the Early to Rise model. But really the model is what you see on the outer parts of it. These are all the different ways to drive traffic to your website. So, we could be doing SEO. Did Pam talk about SEO? Heather, okay, SEO. So SEO, there's pay-per-click, there's joint ventures, social media is hot right now. So the way to think about it is everything that you do off of your website, the purpose of that is to drive traffic back to your website. So whenever you're doing anything off your website, one of the primary goals, or the primary goal, should be get people back to the website. So I work with a lot of people, a lot of experts who do radio interviews, TV interviews, they're getting syndicated or published. And a lot of times that's one of the biggest mistakes they make is that either they're just trying to sell directly off of like the radio show. You go to Amazon and buy my book. They're not doing any type of list building. So that's one of the first things we usually work with them is say, well, you should make a free offer, give people a reason to go to your website and maybe learn more information. But the idea is that no matter what you're doing, for marketing, publicity, advertising, one of the main purposes should be to get people to want to go back to your website. So that's the outer layer. This is just a small, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of ways to drive traffic to your website. I'll share with you what I think are some of the best ways to do it right now. Now, in the center of that, we're bringing people back to the website, but you'll notice that there's this idea of a free e-zine. And that's the list building part of it. So the idea is that not only are people coming back to the website, but the main purpose to come back to the website is to get them onto our list. And I'm going to share with you what I think are some of the best ways to actually do that. But the idea is people come to the website. Now, the way this can work is twofold. If you make some type of a free offer or give someone a reason why, if you say, I have something free, I have a free special report or something, when you're doing the off the website stuff, that will increase the number of people who come to your website because now they actually have a reason to come to your website. They want to get something. And then when they get to your website, more of them will opt in because they're going there for that reason. So that's a really powerful method. And then the follow-up is really the bottom part of the diagram is really the follow-up. Once they're on the list, they're on our house list, and now we send emails out. And Ryan showed you some different ways of doing emails. There's some e-zine methods where you have like an e-newsletter, and then there's content, and there's some ads in it, and then there's the more direct solo emails. You probably see this with a lot of the stuff that AWAI does, right? They send out some content or newsletter type pieces that look kind of like nice, and they have, like the sidebars that are colored and all different things, some content. And then they also send the straight promo emails where it's really just, it looks more like just a plain text email, and it's really just a straight promo offering something. So you can do a mix of those. I know yesterday Ryan mentioned that he really likes doing everything to look the same, so that in the email you can actually tell the difference between an ad. But really, honestly, these are the details. The big idea is to be building your list in the first place and to be following up. We'll talk about follow-up too. Another huge mistake is a lot of people don't follow up enough. So we'll talk about follow-up. And of course, from the emails come the sales. And that is the internet profit funnel, also known as the Agora model or the Early to Rise model. Okay, so list building. Are we all on board with list building? Did I onboard everyone with the concept of list building? I heard someone say onboarding yesterday. It's funny because recently I was at a mastermind and I was working with a lot of sales trainers and sales professionals, and I know that in that industry, onboarding is becoming a really popular term. We got to onboard our salespeople. How can we get our salespeople to be successful? And then what I thought was funny is now I'm hearing that the tech industry is using it, and now with like startups, we got to onboard people who sign up to our apps and stuff. Now everyone just wants to onboard. I think buzz terms are funny. And that's the whole argument. So a lot of times you can talk to your clients and just educate them on this huge missed opportunities. If I could show you a way to double, triple, or quadruple your sales by making a simple change on your website, Is that something you'd be open to? Or my favorite way, the way Josh put it, Joshua Boswell put it, was, if I could double or triple or 10x your sales by making a simple change to your website, would $5,000 be an appropriate investment? I love that. That's a great close. Absolutely. So use that information. You can absolutely educate your clients. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I probably do 50 website reviews, consults a month, and it's almost, I can do these on autopilot because I know every time I look at a website, they're either not building their list or they're not doing it appropriately, and it's the number one missed opportunity on a website. Of course, to me, in a close second, and you guys may argue that this is number one, bad website copy is the number two missed opportunity on a website. So, yeah, you can absolutely, most people don't know about it. That's the first thing you can go to. And I'll show you ways you can actually monetize this. You can do this for them, or you can partner with other people who do it and take a cut of it. So you can monetize helping them get into this list building mode. Okay, so now that we covered what list building is, why it's important, why we should be doing it, let me share with you some of the ways that you can actually do it. How should we be building our list? What are some of the best practices? Really, a lot. I mean, we see tons of stuff. We see lots of strategies, especially in the internet marketing world. It's always, what's the flavor of the week? What's the latest strategy or tactic? But overall, at the end of the day, though, when it comes to building your list, you want to offer something of value, keyword value, for free, in exchange for contact information. That's all list building is at the end of the day. Offer something of value for free in exchange for contact information. Now, digging into this a little bit more specifically, like I mentioned, if you look at a client's website, in a lot of cases you will see that there are a lot of websites that do have some type of sign-up mechanism. So a lot of websites, they maybe have a blog or they have some type of theme where built into it. It says, oh yeah, just sign up for our website and get updates, or just sign up and get blog updates. The only reason I say that's good is because it's better than nothing. Any type of list building is better than no list building at all. But that's really a poor method relative to other methods to build a list. So I just want to let you know that if you do look at other people's websites, you may see that they're building their list. A lot of times if I'm doing a strategy session or a consult with a client, I should congratulate them. You want to make them feel good. So, I noticed in your website you have a sign. So it looks like you are building your list. So congratulations on doing that, because most people don't even do that. And then I might even say, well, what software are you using to do that? So now I'm get some information about what software they're using, because probably they're using a bad software, and that's another way to monetize. Is I'm going to recommend a software tool they can use to build their list, in addition to how to do it better. Better is newsletter or e-course. E-courses are interesting. E-courses had their run. They were very popular probably about 5 to 7 years ago. And then now people, and I think this just has to do with we live in like a BuzzFeed society these days. Everyone familiar with the site BuzzFeed.com? I was on BuzzFeed the other day, and I found this article I really liked. I shared it with my friend. I said, hey, I found this article on BuzzFeed. And now tell me if you would not take this as an insult. He says, oh, BuzzFeed. Yeah, that type of website's right up your alley. I said, what does that mean? I said, what does that mean? And we broke it down. So we came down, and he basically said that I have the attention span of a fly. And that's why BuzzFeed is appropriate for me. But that's where I like that reference. But I think we are becoming more of a BuzzFeed type. So that's what you're going to see with the next offer, why I think just like, get this thing right now, download it, is the best thing. I might change my opinion on this, because one of my clients I work with and I write with is a company called About.com. About.com is a huge company. I think they're one of the top 25 companies on the internet as far as traffic goes. What's amazing is that they're just starting to get into list building. So, I mean, they get probably millions and millions of visitors a month, and they just did a huge overhaul. I mean, they're really changing the company. But it's funny for someone like me to see that I've been teaching list building for 10 years now, to see, so I mean, the opportunities are still out there. I might even suggest I might want to start consulting with them on what they're doing with the list building. But just to show you that, I mean, even huge sophisticated companies a lot of times don't know the money that's being left on the table. The reason I might change my opinion is because they actually are rolling out e-courses. So, and they collect a lot of data. So I'm going to keep track of that and see how that does. It'll be interesting to see if e-courses make a comeback. But the best way to build a list, I think, right now, and I think we've seen some examples of this week with some other talks on list building, email marketing, is a tangible free offer. A tangible free offer. Something that I can download right now and get instant gratification with. That's, you know, the impulse opt-in, if you will. I think that's the best type of offer you can make. Now, to expand on that a little bit, we've all seen probably different types of offers, audios, videos, webinars as signups. A lot of people seeing webinars for signups these days. And of course, everything is subject to testing. So I should have led with this disclaimer, but don't believe a word I say today. Don't listen to anything I say. Test everything and draw your own conclusions. But I really believe that the free special report, a PDF download, still is one of the best vehicles to get an opt-in. Now, it may not necessarily be the best way to convert, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I think, and we could always speculate. I mean, we don't know why people do things. We can speculate. I think because, you know, PDF is something we can all download right now. A video, I may not be able to watch a video right now. I may not have time to do it. I might be at work. Maybe I can't play audio, whatever the case is. But a PDF is something we can all download quickly right now. Now, one thing I will say, though, just not to get too advanced and off the track of what we're talking about here, there definitely is value in doing things like teleseminars and webinars and things like that. I've seen other marketers test different variations of a webinar sign-up, a PDF sign-up. So if a webinar, say, is part of the marketing funnel, a two-step process that works really well is, hey, I have a free special report that shows you how to do XYZ, sign up for that. And then as soon as they sign up for the free report, on the thank you page, thank you for signing up for the free report. By the way, I actually have a webinar training on this topic coming up that you might want to sign up for. And that type of process gets better results than if you just led with a webinar. A webinar, less people are going to sign up for a webinar on the front end because think of all the restrictions of a webinar. Well, first of all, do I want to attend a webinar? The date and time. Will I be available at that date and time? Do I want to commit? Do I want to spend an hour? So I really think the free report's the way to do it. That's kind of my position on everything as far as any type of sales copy anyways. So of course we know that there's sales letters, there's video sales letters, VSLs, there's webinars, there's teleseminars. Usually I always advise people, if you're just starting out, the quickest way to do it is to start with the written material. Start with a sales letter, and then once you have a sales letter, because you have to test the sales letter, right? We have to test it, we have to tweet. Once you have a winning sales letter and you know converts, then maybe we can spend the time and the money to convert that into a video sales letter. But generally speaking, and this isn't always true, it all depends on people's skill sets and things like that, but all things equal, it generally takes longer and it's more expensive to produce something like a sales video than a sales letter or webinar presentation. It's easier to develop a free special report opt-in than it is to create an 8-part video boot camp as an opt-in. So usually I like to start with the easiest thing. And I still think, and that's the good part of both, because I think it's the easiest thing to do, and I think it also converts the better. So what more can you ask for? As far as the special report goes, a trend, who here is familiar with lead pages? A few lead pages. So the trend I noticed with lead pages, if you've been through any of their trainings, is they started promoting the idea of literally a one-page download or a resource sheet, where the free offer is literally, here's my 5 resources I recommend for this, or here's my 7 tips for this, and it's literally a one-page PDF. So as far as a downloadable PDF, you can do a quick cheat sheet. It could be a one-page PDF. I honestly, my preference is to go with more of like a special report route, which is maybe 7 to 15 pages, and that way we can kind of give more content, but also start the sales process as far as moving them into the next logical step of what we want them to buy in the funnel. And a lot of times the free report can be positioned as not only a good piece of content, but also a mini sales letter that pre-frames them for the next step. I'll see if I can get that to you guys. So I did a really great program with AWAI all about list building business in a box. I have a report. This sounds funny, but I have a report. It's a report on how to write free reports. So I'll see if I can get that to you guys to expand on that. And that dives into actually, so that's another asset you have in your business. I think I lost track here, but so this is something we can create for our clients. We can write their free reports or create their free assets that they give away. And as I mentioned earlier, I hinted toward this, but this free offer, this can become a part of all of your lead generation activities. So now whenever you do articles, marketing, publicity in your advertising, I'll show you several examples of this, you can make this free offer for people. Hey, I have a free special report, come to my website, get it, send them to the website or the landing page. So the free report in itself becomes a traffic generator for your business or your client's business, and it also becomes a conversion piece for your business or your client's business. Ways to capture their information. So that's like the strategy part of it. That's the, okay, we're giving them something tangible, a download, some type of reason to opt in. Here are some different ways to do the capture. Opt-in forms on your website. I'll show you actual examples of this. So generally speaking, I say it's a best practice to have an opt-in form on every what I call a non-sales page of your website. I think most of us in this room, because this is the advanced session, we generally know that most landing pages want to have a singular purpose, right? We're either getting the opt-in or we're getting the sale. We're not trying to do all things at once. So for every non-sales page of a website, and this is going to be typically like your home page, your about page. If you have a blog, it's going to be your blog pages. Really, every non-sales page of your website, on that page should probably be a call to action for the opt-in. Allow direct opt-in. What's actually works well too is, so direct opt-in is like the form is on the page. I could literally just type my name and email right there. What's also working, you might want to write this on the notes on the side because it's not here, is what Lead Pages kind of innovated, which is the click opt-in, where you see it says click here, and when you click it, it makes a pop-up come up. That actually works really well. I think the reason is because of the commitment and consistency. I see this free offer, I click on it, and now a pop-up came up. Well, I already clicked on it, so I'd be inconsistent if I didn't go ahead with the opt-in. So that actually works well too. Direct opt-in or the pop-up, the clickable pop-up opt-in. If you're not sure what I mean by that, just go to Lead Pages and they'll show you how that works. We just saw this example with I think it was the web writers screenshot we saw in the last presentation, where there was an image of the guide with the yellow opt-in boxes. That definitely helps. The hero shot, they call it. Always have a graphical image to represent your free offer. So an ebook cover, some audio CDs, even if it's a digital download, some checklist, or if you're doing like a workbook type of a giveaway, just some type of graphical image to represent the free offer, even though it's a digital download. And just to be clear, everything I'm talking about so far this is all digital stuff we're doing, no physical delivery. So opt-in forms on the website, that's one way to do it. And then the other way to do it is with squeeze pages. How many here are familiar with what a squeeze page is? Squeeze page is basically a landing page. This is really just going to be a page that falls outside the template of the website. So most websites, when we go to it, they're more like brochure or branding type websites, or like a blog where you have the links in the navigation, home, about, contact. There's sidebars. There's a lot of stuff going on. Especially in the case of paid traffic, if you're driving traffic, especially in the case of paid traffic, you probably want to send them to a dedicated landing page, which is just a page in your website that doesn't have the links to the home, about, contact, And we've seen landing pages, right? It's literally just the headline, the bullets, the copy, and a chance for them to opt in. I'll show you a couple examples of these. I'm sure you've seen squeeze pages before. So it's going to be a dedicated landing page with an opt-in only. Very similar to a sales letter page, just the call to action is for people to opt in. And I know we've already heard the controversy over pop-up forums. I think Rebecca did give her endorsement for pop-up forums because as much as people complain about them, the reality is that they do work. They can be highly effective. I think pop-ups, if you have a client who has a blog that gets a lot of organic free traffic from the search engines and they're not using a pop-up, that's a huge list building opportunity. So having the client put a pop-up form, that could really increase opt-ins quickly. So if I'm consulting with a client and they're like, yeah, I get a ton of free traffic from the search engines, but I'm not list building or nobody's opting into my list, pop-up forms can work. This is probably a useful piece of knowledge for you to have. A sidebar opt-in. So if I go to a website and on the sidebar is the sidebar with all the social media and there's the free offer, that opt-in is generally going to get less than 1%. Maybe 1 to 2% is good. I've truthfully, and I'm the list building guy for my own personal network of sites. I've never really been able to get more than a 2% opt-in to just a regular like blog type of page. Some of my buddies claim that they get up to 10% opt-in rates, which I think is outrageous. But hey, that's the range. So I'll say for fair play, let's say the range is less than 1% to 10% opt-in on a sidebar. Why am I saying this? Oh, because the pop-up will get a significantly higher opt-in rate. A squeeze page or landing page, we're looking to get 25% out the gate, sometimes higher. Significantly higher opt-in rates on pop-up forms and squeeze pages. So even if you have a client who is list building, they do have the sidebar forms, they have high traffic blog, you can say, hey, let's just test doing a pop-up. I know you hate it, but let's test doing a pop-up. Just a couple examples. One more here. This is a huge opportunity, and I think the technology that Lead Pages uses, and there's other service providers out there, there's plenty of plugins other than Lead Pages that have this technology, but basically, on your website, in your copy, you can say, oh, click here right now to get my free report with a link, and when they click on it, the pop-up comes up. Or you can have your own banner ads on your website that have a picture, and when they click on it, the pop-up comes up. So having calls to action throughout your website, in your copy, those get really high conversion rates, so those work really well. I'll show you a couple examples. Some of these you may have seen before, you might be familiar with them. This is Jack Canfield. I do some work with Jack Canfield, a lot of his students, and right on his main website. So this is your typical website where there's the home, about, the blog, the navigation, content, and then on the sidebar, the top right-hand corner, that's the website opt-in box. Generally speaking, the less information you ask for, the higher the opt-in rate. For a front-end general list building, I would only ask for email, or if you're into personalization, I would ask for first name. I would not ask for last name in this situation. Usually at the very front end, it's not necessary. You don't need, and that's another mistake you'll see in maybe a lot of your clients. If they are doing list building, I want their name, I want their email, I want their address and their phone number. Why? Do you call them? No. Do you send them direct mail pieces? No. So why do you need this information? That's another way to help your clients increase their list building. This is my website. This is just a shameless plug for my website, internetincomecoach.com. But same concept there. It's the top right-hand corner. I've actually switched this. What's interesting, and I've seen an increase in the opt-in rate, is I've switched this from, so you used to be able to put your name into this, like it was on the site. I actually made this an image, so when you click on this, you think you're going to type your name in, but then it pops up, the Lead Pages pop up, and we've actually seen, you think that actually increased conversion. I really think there's a commitment, like I mentioned, commitment consistency with using that two-step pop-up type thing. Last time I checked, John Carlton doing list building, and then early to rise. I think this is an example of the the free report, click here. So that's like that two-step type. But the key is that these offers are on every page of the website. So if I click through contact success, went through the blog, that free offer, those offers will be on every page of the website, every non-sales page of the website. Okay, squeeze pages. We've actually seen some examples. I know a lot of you are writing some squeeze pages. So squeeze pages, there's several types of squeeze pages. Really, the main concept is a headline, benefit-oriented headline, picture of the free offer. In this case, I think it's a training video series. So it's a picture, of course, the video. If it were a free report, it would be a picture of the free report. So image, and then the opt-in. Really, what we've seen is, you could write long-form squeeze pages. A lot of times it depends on the sophistication of the market. For most cases, hey, you're giving a free offer, not a lot of selling involved. You still want to do some selling, right? Even if we're giving away free stuff, there's an offer. But usually, my favorite formula for doing the squeeze pages is free special report. Well, usually I name the report. So here I named it the Internet Profit Report. Free special report, free special Internet Profit Report finally reveals the big headline, put a value, get my free Internet Profit Report, $97 value, so always assign a value to the free offer, and the opt-in, a picture of the thing and the opt-in, and then the button. The buttons, submit is a really poor choice of word. That's another thing you'll probably see. Most of your clients who are list building, their buttons might say submit, sign up or something. Get the free report works well. Surprisingly, download now works well. And then one of my other favorite ones, this one's been a control for several years, free instant access works well. And just so you know, and we've heard this repeated throughout the week. A lot of times, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, because we're dealing with psychological principles and we're dealing with people. That's another thing I know Joshua pointed out is that what's our niche? People, right? Because we're dealing with people, these work across different industries. So I've done this in consumer, B2B, etc. So this is like B2B. And then here's mass consumer, women's weight loss. You see, it's pretty much an identical squeeze page as far as the layout, how it's laid out. Here's an example from Early to Rise. This is actually one of their most successful promotions they ever did, the how to rob banks legally promotion. And this was a squeeze page they did, which is, again, headline with the opt-in. And then they also did a longer form, which is just maybe adding a paragraph, maybe some bullets. So that's something you may want to test when you're doing squeeze pages, is just a headline, bullet points, opt-in versus a longer form. Does anyone follow Gary Bencivenga? Really, Bencivenga Bullets, I think. Bencivenga Bullets. You can check out his stuff. He has some really good stuff. And this is an example, at least last time I checked, his squeeze page, and this is just 2 screenshots of it. I think this is this is probably literally a 5 to 7 page squeeze page that's topped in. So you could really go with a long form squeeze page. I've tested all different types of squeeze pages, and generally I don't really see much of a difference between conversion as far as long. So I'm generally lazier, and I go with a shorter form. I'm this is another insult. I think someone insulted me one time, but they said to me one time, Brian, you're a lot like water. You always take the path of least resistance. And I said, thank you. I do. And of course, Motley Fool. If you guys don't follow Motley Fool, they're one of my favorite information publishers. They're in the financial space. Similar to a lot of stuff they do is, I'd say, similar to what Agora does. But a lot of their squeeze pages are literally kind of like a blind copy almost. Blind copy being you don't know what you're opting in for. Free, the one remarkable stock to own now email address, and that's how they build their list. So let's just show you. There's all different sizes and shapes to squeeze pages. I generally go with just the headline, couple bullets, picture the image and opt in. What I find interesting, another reason I took the screenshot is, remember I said that a lot of times, the copy is dictated by the price and by the sophistication of the market. And I just think it's funny that in finance, in a market where you think that, because I can say this because I used to work on Wall Street, but in a market where you think that you're dealing with people who have money and are supposed to be sophisticated, a lot of times they fall for like the stupidest stuff. So that's all I'm saying is, I mean, in a financial market, in financial education, you can get away with blind copy. I just think it's funny. So hopefully there's some copywriters that appreciate that. And one of my favorite case studies is, regardless of politics, so whether you like Obama or Romney or Republican Democrat, what we found was a case study for the last election was it was unprecedented, the amount of money that Obama's campaign raised for the election and a lot of the grassroots they were doing. What they did, so if you go to whitehouse.gov, you'll see that it's the White House's webpage, and it has the home, the link, administration, and it's a typical homepage. During the election season, if you went to whitehouse.gov, it was a squeeze page. This was White House, no joke, this was whitehouse.gov during the election. And of course, opt in to get more information, or you could go to the website, and through email marketing, through follow-up email marketing, they raised an unprecedented amount of money to fund the campaign. So I thought it was cool to see the White House using direct marketing principles. So regardless of political flavor, it was a neat case study. Pop-ups and pop-unders can be effective. I think especially for high-traffic blogs that get a lot of free traffic from the search engines. This is the reason I took this screenshot is how many people here are familiar with J. Peterman? J. Peterman. They're a real fun company, clothing company, and they do a lot of like storytelling and direct response. And they use pop-ups to build their list. And if you don't sign up for their list, join the J. Peterman list, and you'll see they really do email marketing well from a direct marketing perspective and telling stories and using good copy. So pop-ups work well. And then, as I mentioned, on-site links and calls to action. On this company's website, they have their opt-in, but then underneath here, there's this little thing that says why subscribe. And if you click on that link, it takes you to this page where it's longer form on all the reasons you should subscribe. So some people will sign up right away. Some people need a little more convincing. And you can put these calls to action throughout your website. So here's another example. This is just a blog post here. And then at the end of the blog post, there's a little blurb that says, you can go and get on my nifty free newsletters, and that's a link. And if I click that link, it takes me to their squeeze page, i.e. opt-in page. So throughout your website, you can constantly give calls to action. And these days, as I mentioned several times, it's even more powerful if you use the pop-up technology so that if I click the link, I just get a pop-up instead of having to go to another web page. Final thing I want to share with you is the tools. So now we know the importance of list building, why we should be doing it. We have some ways to go about doing it, methods, opt-in forms on our website, squeeze pages, the links with the pop-ups. I want to share with you some tools that you can use. Again, not only in your business, but as far as the tools I'm going to recommend, most likely your clients aren't using these tools, and they're more than happy to take a recommendation from you. And this is another way to make passive income in your business. So you can recommend someone and say, okay, well, to build your list, there's several reasons why. You definitely want to use a third-party autoresponder. If you want to know all the reasons why, we don't have time for me to go into it now, but I'll certainly be happy to educate you on those reasons, and thus you can educate your clients. But they absolutely want to use a third-party autoresponder. These generally cost $20 to $30 a month, and most people, this could be a form of lifetime passive income, because most people, if they get an autoresponder and then they start building their list and they start seeing that this makes money, they will never, ever cancel their autoresponder, and you will get commissions off of that sale for life, which is nice. So this is a nice way to, and really anything in your business, if you need to refer someone to design squeeze pages, you can probably set up a deal if you don't want to do it yourself with someone who will pay you a referral fee. Writing the free special reports, writing the copy for the landing pages, and then recommending the tools and resources. Okay, so third-party autoresponder service. This manages basically when people come to the site and they opt in, their email goes into this database, so they manage your database for you. There's two reasons to use an autoresponder. The main reason is because of delivery. So the biggest mistake, and you'll hear this a lot from clients that you talk to, is they'll say, oh yeah, I do collect email addresses, and I do get people's business cards, and then I just email them from my Gmail or my Outlook. Right away, they need to be educated that that's not appropriate. That can there's several reasons not to do that. There's legal implications, there's spam implications. Eventually, their emails might just get blocked and blacklisted, especially if they're doing it on a mass basis. The purpose of a third-party autoresponder service is that they get your emails delivered, they maintain the relationships with all of the email providers, and at the end of the day, if your emails aren't getting delivered, there's no point in sending them. So that's the main reason to use an autoresponder. As a marketing person, the reason I really like the autoresponders is that they automate a lot of the marketing. And this is something that, the stuff that Ryan was talking about. Someone opts into this list, take them off this list, and send them these emails. And if they click on this, autoresponders can do this. So they can seriously automate most of the marketing for you. And then, of course, not just the automated emails, but you can send real-time broadcasts. So you can, hey, if I want to email everybody on my list right now, I can send a broadcast out to the list. And as I mentioned, remember earlier I said if you want, you could ask for first name. So these autoresponders allow you to personalize. So a really cool feature is if I have a list of 10,000 people and I send it out an email, that email will be personalized to, hi Brian, hi Mike, hi Joan. There's other cool ways to personalize it. So just think, you can sometimes get real creative. Like, say you were working with like a pet owner, you could, on a web form, you could say, what's your name, what's your email, and what's your puppy's name. And now when you send out emails, you can personalize emails, hey, I was just thinking about Fluffy, and, so there's lots of different ways to personalize, not just first name. And of course, they'll handle the email deliverability, the spam, the legal. So not to get too technical, I'm not a lawyer, I don't give legal advice, but they will provide the mechanism for people to remove themselves from the list, and then you don't get in trouble for violating anti-spam laws. A couple of my favorite resources there's several of them out there. They all generally cost the same, they do the same thing. I like Aweber a lot. That's an affiliate link. So I'm monetizing my presentation. I'm always thinking about how you can monetize. But internetincomecoach.com/Aweber. Another good one is iContact. GetResponse is another one that works as well. And these are companies that's all they do is email marketing. So they don't do shopping carts. They don't do they just handle email marketing. And for most small business owners, it's an appropriate solution. So, Infusionsoft is a much bigger animal, and that can do the email and all that. So most people, if they're at the level of Infusionsoft, they probably wouldn't be using a tool like this.
So you wouldn't need both?
No, not necessarily. Okay, so action steps. These could be action steps for you, or these could also be action steps that you would recommend to your clients and do for them, or work with partners that have implemented for them, is to create a powerful free offer, something you can give away on your website to collect opt-ins. You may do multiple free offers eventually, more targeted offers. Add these opt-in opportunities to your web pages. So every non-sales page of your website should have an opt-in opportunity. And then I would also create a dedicated squeeze page. And then you can if you do paid advertising, you can send people to the dedicated squeeze pages. You'll see examples of even my business card. On the back of my business card is a link to a dedicated squeeze page. So lots of ways to promote your dedicated squeeze page as well. Like I said, there's several tools out there. There are several designers. Here's a couple simple solutions I really like to do this quickly. There's one out there called Paper Template, and this is a WordPress plugin. So a lot of your clients will probably have WordPress sites. And this makes really This can take any page in your WordPress site and make it into a landing page, either a sales page or an opt-in page. And it's called paper template because it's really no frills. It's like literally a blank rectangle, and then you would be responsible for putting the copy, the graphics, and everything. But it's a really simple solution, and it's really inexpensive to start getting the squeeze pages on your clients' websites. And then Optimized Press is a popular solution. That's more robust. A lot of the squeeze pages you saw that I gave as examples used Optimized Press. It's more of like a blogging theme. This works with WordPress as well. This can really create sophisticated sales funnels as well. So it can, if you have like a multi-part video sequence, it can track who watched what video and take them to, so that's really advanced, but that's basically more of a sales funnel system. That might be beyond the scope of most of the clients you'd be working with. But if you're working with a lot of information marketing type clients, this would be definitely something worth looking into. And then I mentioned lead pages several times throughout this presentation. So most people know lead pages and how simple they are. I mean, gee, imagine this, 10 years ago, we were doing this with Microsoft Front Page by hand. This stuff, it's so easy these days to do it for your clients or find somebody who can. And I would constantly look for opportunities to add a call to action for people to join your list throughout your website. So every blog post should have a call to action, end with a call to action. Literally every page on a website should end with a call to action. Even an about page, something as simple as an about page, at the end of the about page, now that you've learned more about me and how I can help you with XYZ, click here to do this and take them to the next. Every page on a website should end with a call to action. Okay, so we went a little bit over time for the first part of the presentation. That was list building. We're going to take a quick break. I know we all probably, the mind can only endure what the butt can absorb. Is that how you say it? But coming up next, we're going to talk about traffic, and traffic. I'll show you the only 3 types of online traffic, how to think about traffic, where to get free traffic, how to get massive amounts of traffic. Well, no point in getting traffic unless it's going to be massive, right? Within minutes to your website. Why wait an hour when you can do this in minutes? And a secret method. See, I know a little bit of copy, right? I can do this copy. A secret method to make sure you never run out of places to find web traffic again. So thank you, everybody.